Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast. It's time for more off-season grades. It is October 17th, and it is coming at you live on a Sunnyside Thursday. This is the CHGO Cubs Podcast. Visit sunnyside.shop for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. That's 50% off. Enter the promo code HICHGO. HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright Buys every day only for 21 and older or Illinois medical card holders. Wow. You want to talk about Sunnyside? It is spectacular again today. It's too bad we don't have playoff baseball because we've had spectacular October weather. Spectacular.
But is the wind blowing in or blowing out? Because
right.
that's the reason the offense
there's no way they'd be able to score a single run if the wind were blowing in.
However, and this is credit to me for giving credit, I was listening to Northside Territory, the podcast done by Shota Imanaga and Patrick Mooney.
Okay, good guys.
And they did like a mailbag the other day.
Yeah.
And I guess Sahadev is known as like the weather guy, I guess, in the press box. And
only because I'm not there because, I was a weatherman, of course.
Right. You would be known as that if you were there, but you instead decide to hang out with me here and deal with me yelling all the time. He said on their podcast that because of the Catalina Club, that installment, it blocks wind coming from, I guess that would be
behind home plate.
Behind home plate.
Yeah, a little bit on the, a little bit on the third base home side.
And I guess it used to be open there.
Sure.
Yeah,
it wasn't nearly as big as that.
There's more to it, what he said, but what I took away from it was that there's updates to the ballpark that have led to why maybe it's the wind factors were different this
even
year.
when it's blowing out, it's not blowing out the way it used to because there used to be one of my favorite pictures that I've taken at Wrigley Field is, the sunlight used to come in underneath that. And now with the Catalina Club, and used to have that second level where you would go get concessions right underneath the press box, right above the handicap section there. Now you have the Catalina Club. It's like a big box sitting there, but he's right. It used to be open, so the wind, if it was coming straight from home plate, would blow right through the stadium and right out of the ballpark. I could see that.
Yeah. That said, they basically agree with us in the fact that you can't blame the weather for
of course
the
not.
offense being inconsistent, I guess. So they were just it was from one of their mailbag questions they got. They also got one about Justin Steele and an extension, which I found very interesting, and maybe we can talk about next week or something.
Well, maybe we'll get we'll get Moondog or Sahada Varn next week. Call one of them up.
Or maybe Ryan Dipster, because I got his email.
Oh, how about this? Did you hear this? Law is running the 1s and 2s today.
And I don't have that photo ready yet, but
he doesn't have the photo ready, but I want you'll wait for it. It's what makes being on the live YouTube chat so great. Or even if you go back and want to watch this on YouTube later, we leave here yesterday after I just dragged the floor with Cody in a ping pong matchup. I decided to play once, and I
just had to bring
it. It was more than a touchdown win. That's all I'll say. I just dragged the floor with him, and this floor is dirty in here because they were working on the ceiling yesterday. and then Cody went home, and his day got better. Okay,
I didn't
much better. You walked into a coffee shop in Lakeview. Is that it?
Yeah. So I have to give credit to Corey Friedman for this because him and his girlfriend are going to a wedding in Minnesota this weekend, and that is why I'll be joining Brendan tonight whenever we record Friday's podcast. Credit to me for taking Corey's spot. Yep. Credit to me for walking Corey's dog for the next 4 days.
Wow, that
in
is
exchange for money.
That is a man of integrity and
But
companionship.
I had to stop by their apartment to pick up the keys. And long story short, me and his girlfriend, I introduced them. Like, I went to college with his girlfriend.
So we're going to eliminate that little, bit of gossip that was out on the street.
Yes.
Did you see that Cody Delmendo was seen with Corey Friedman's girlfriend at a coffee shop?
That
was all over.
I saw that and the heckler had that in page.
It was the Onion was writing it. It was all over the place.
I've known her. I've known her for 12 years. Anyway,
introduced them.
We went to a coffee shop after I picked up the keys. Just because it was cold and like I wanted a coffee.
Right.
And we were waiting at the table, and out of nowhere, Ryan Dempster just kind of appeared in like an obvious shirt with like the 120 clock.
And how did I
saw
that. Both wearing Jordans.
Like in like smoke, like he appeared? Like, what do you mean by that?
No, he just walked in like the most normal person. Like, no one even realized that
little
was him.
bell rings on the door.
I turned my head to the left and was like, whoa, there's Ryan Dempster. Like, it was very like.
How awkward was it? What happened? It wasn't awkward. It was like the steel one. It was fairly comfortable.
Yeah.
You ran over. Did you run over?
I didn't run over. I just got up and like was just like, hey, like, I'm a fan. Like, I do the CHGO Cubs podcast, if you don't know, and love to have you on sometime.
There they are. I got
there they are. Look at that. Boy, your
shoe game is incredible.
Your Jordans almost match.
Well, mine are blue. His are like green, like a light green. I think that's
like New York Liberty Aqua, I believe.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is pretty good.
Shout out Sabrina last night. Woo.
We should put this out on social and say caption this, and see what kind of Ryan Dempster and Cody in a coffee shop. Caption this. My question is: are they now a Cubby coffee couple? Could this be a regular thing?
I just want to know, were they drinking some Connect Roasters coffee? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about the team for a little bit. Like, I talked to him for maybe like 3 minutes.
Okay.
And all I can say is I feel like me and him agree on a lot of things. And I didn't think that would be the case.
Demp's a reasonable man.
Yeah. So I think that before the offseason ends, we need to get him in here.
He really looks like new Joey. I mean, I feel like he could produce a show if he came in. Yeah. We could just swap them back and forth and see if anybody noticed that we swapped Demp out for Joey Kostopoulos.
And then someone will send a super chat that says show Joey, and we'll just show Ryan Dempster.
Right. And nobody will know the difference.
No one will know the difference, yeah.
I have one more question about this interaction.
Yeah.
Who paid for your coffee? No, I'm sorry. Did Kate, Corey's girlfriend, also get a coffee?
She did, yeah.
And did she pay for her coffee and you paid for your coffee?
Yeah.
Or did you pay for both coffees, or did she pay for both coffees? And was Dempster ever involved in paying for coffee?
He was never involved. We had already made the orders. Like, we were sitting down at the table that we were going to set up, and we were waiting. They're going to bring it to us.
Right.
He was clearly
so just to make sure everything was on the up and up, you each paid for your own coffee. Just so
he did. He did not offer to pay for my coffee.
Just so Corey settles down.
I don't think we care about Demp. We're talking about.
No, you're trying to start drama over here. Okay.
That's exactly what's happening.
I'm not trying to start it. It was all over the internet yesterday. It was everywhere. Who's the mystery girl? Is that Corey Friedman's girlfriend? Drama at CHGO.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, huh?
It's very, very sketchy.
This might be the best content outside of me and Ryan's ping pong series the entire offseason. Outside of our,
I feel like I'm setting an episode of a Bachelor, or like that Bachelor in Paradise.
Love Island?
Love Island. No, Bachelor in Paradise is where the cast-offs from The Bachelor go. Once they're all losers, then they also go to Bachelor in Paradise.
Oh, they're
and
all
they all
losers.
hook up on the
That's
beach.
for sure.
And then occasionally they'll have the actual Bachelor or Bachelorette come on, and the people are just like, oh, we're here with royalty. How could Joey be here? Anyways.
Trying to start stuff, huh?
We're going to do grading again today. We're going to get to Shota Imanaga, and we're going to talk about the catcher situation today. First, I wanted to ask you something. I know we've talked about Jerry Reinsdorf and the 78 or the 72 or whatever that project is called.
78.
And yesterday it came out, it was the Sun-Times saying Jerry is in discussions with a group led by Dave Stewart, the former A's pitcher, about potentially selling the White Sox. Now, it is no secret that Jerry has told the other investors, he owns 20% of the White Sox. He's told the other investors and his family, when I die, sell the White Sox, keep the Bulls. Michael runs the Bulls. So that, I don't want to be morbid. You're probably at least At the most, you're 15 years away from that. But could it be happening sooner? Or is this one final ploy or one final card move by Jerry to try and scare people into they're going to go to Nashville and you better give that funding and you better build a stadium in Chicago or your team's going to go to Nashville, much like what happened when we were in Nashville for the baseball winter meetings. That's probably the most likely scenario. Or Jerry's just fed up and is like, this just isn't worth it anymore. The people are chanting, sell the team. You know what? Dave Stewart. Now, keep in mind that Dave Stewart is like BFFs with Tony La Russa. So if you're looking for a favor to start the rumor that you're going to Nashville, Tony La Russa's buddy would be a good person to go do it. Not that he's not interested in doing it. So my question is this. As a Cubs fan, and anybody in the live YouTube chat, that means Barb, Becky, anybody else out there, would you welcome White Sox fans that might want to jump ship and trade sides of town if the White Sox were to someday move to Nashville, or if you just got sick of losing 100-plus games and breaking Major League Baseball history, like if they did it again next year? So let's say your buddy's a Sox fan, a diehard Sox fan. He's given you grief for many, many years.
Your good pal Chuck Garfien.
What if Chuck Garfien came to me and said, Luke, that's it. I've had enough. I can't do it anymore. I can't even host the post-game shows. That's it. I love Wrigleyville. I want to join the North Side. Should I, with open arms, say, Chuck, there's always room for another Cubs fan? It brings me back to like when the Blackhawks started getting good and the Fly the W flag started showing up at the United Center. I know there were some diehard Hawks fans who were probably also Sox fans at times that did not like the W flag flying at the United Center. It was the Cubification, is what I was told, of the Chicago Blackhawks. They didn't want any new fans. They wanted their 20,000 fans that were diehards, and they knew it. They didn't want anybody else on their bandwagon just because they were good.
I mean, those people are stupid.
Would you accept a Sox fan that just said, I've had enough?
I asked the YouTube. We got a poll going. We'll see how that goes.
I'm always curious. I personally would not care. Like if somebody wanted, here's the problem I have. The people that want to flip and flop like a bass on a pier. If you're going to make a decision to be one or the other, I don't care if somebody wants to like both teams. I don't care if somebody's a fan of one or the other. Just don't flip and flop. You get one switch in your life. That seems like a fair thing.
I mean, I'm with you. I don't really care if they were to join, but my thing is I think that they're the way that I understand their fan base and the amount of White Sox fans who continue to shit on me on the internet, even though I never talk about the White Sox ever, they were more likely to go be Brewers fans before jump to the Cubs. Like they would go
or Cardinals fans.
They would go support a team in Wisconsin or Missouri before they become Cubs fans because they hate the Cubs that much. I'm like, listen,
you're right.
That's fine. I don't care. I mean, if you're that miserable, okay, have fun.
I think you're not. I don't think. This is just a guess on how this poll will go. If Michael Collada, the godfather of CHGO Cubs, were a Sox fan growing up, and he gets into his adulthood, he's not changing. That person that's been a fan for 20, 30 years, they have enough hatred probably for the North Side and the attention. They're never making that switch. But a kid who's 10 and hasn't seen the White Sox win and might see the Cubs do well possibly in the future, and if the team were to leave or just continue to be terrible, that is the fan that you would start to see jump ship, I think.
It's like Sean, for example. You're right. At CHGO. Like, he used to be a Cubs fan when he was a kid and then switched to the White Sox after, I think, Sammy Sosa got caught with the cork bat or whatever.
Right.
I think that's what he told
that's
me.
what did it for him?
I think that's what it is. It was either that or being connected to steroids.
I remember those days.
I don't know.
Sean had a big stand.
We somehow are still really good friends despite our different
So what you're saying is Sean is not welcome back.
No, he can come back.
Oh, okay.
I don't care. I really don't care. You want to this is what I will say. I'd feel bad for Sox fans if the White Sox, a team that's been here for over 100 years in this great sports city that cares so much about its sports teams and the history that the White Sox have. I know that, or okay, I won't say that I know. it seems that the Cubs always are the one team that people talk about in the city when it comes to baseball, and the White Sox are always kind of second fiddle nationally, right? That said, I know that the White Sox fan base is pretty big, and like I wouldn't pray for the White Sox to leave Chicago. Like it's not St. Louis. It's not like I laughed when the Rams left St. Louis, because I know Cardinal fans, I know that were very upset about it. Made me laugh a little bit, like.
Cody.
I could care less about the White Sox and their fans. Like if they wanted to switch to the north side, fine. But I think they would all go to Milwaukee, because they know that Brewers fans hate the Cubs, and they have more interest in hating the Cubs than just liking a team. So
I think it's sexy having two teams in town. I don't know how long that's going to last. Speaking of sexy. They say there's nothing sexier than confidence, and Blue Chew can help give you confidence where it counts. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in a chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part, it's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You can take them anytime, day or night. Just chew it and then do it. Does Blue Chew work? If you're asking that question, we want you to know that Blue Chew is putting their money where their mouth is by giving you a month free. Here it is. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use the promo code ALLCITY, ALLCITY, all caps, at checkout, and just pay $5 shipping. That's ALLCITY is the promo code. That's BlueChew.com, promo code ALLCITY to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast.
What a read, Luke. Let's talk about goals for a minute. You just talked about your goals.
Mm-hmm.
My
really?
goals.
That was okay. I feel like during that Blue Chew ad, we should have some clip of the Shannon Sharp audio released, just a little underneath it, right?
Just that'd be great.
Yeah, right. Let's talk about goals for a minute. How are you tracking with the ones you set for your business earlier this year? Are you close? If not, do you know why you haven't hit them? Can you believe we're almost in or already in Q4? That means it's crunch time for those business goals for your business, if you're listening, that you set back in January. If you think you can, then you can. I love that quote. It's why goals are so powerful. Putting your business goals out into the world makes you more likely to achieve them. A goal for us, I run the CHGO Cubs Twitter account, all right? Coming into the year, my goal for the Twitter account was to get over 40,000 followers, and we achieved that. Now, going in by the end of 2025, once we enter January 2025, I'll probably set the goal to get to hopefully 45,000, perhaps 50,000 if the Cubs are good and more people are caring about the team, because usually those numbers grow up depending on how good the team is. Right?
Also, being ranked as the #1 Cubs podcast in the universe, continuing that trend.
Oh, yeah.
We've had it for like 3 years now, but if we can do that a 4th year, that's another goal.
People are saying that. But also it is a goal, yes. That's a good point, right? You have year-end goals. Constant Contact has what it takes to help you meet them faster. No matter how experienced you are with digital marketing, Constant Contact has the tools to make your marketing run smoother. Sell more, raise more, and build more genuine relationships with your audience with Constant Contact's suite of digital marketing tools, all made to fast-track your success. You no longer need to struggle with expensive, slow, and unmeasurable approaches to marketing your business. Tap email marketing that helps you create and send the perfect email to every customer. Own the smartphone by adding texting to your marketing strategy. Connect with over 2 billion people on social media with an all-in-one tool for posting and sharing, and sell more online in less time with Constant Contact's powerful e-commerce tools. Get all the automation, integration, and reporting tools that get your marketing running seamlessly. Join thousands of businesses and millions of people who trust Constant Contact with their marketing success. Time to put the go in your 2024 business goals with email, social, SMS, and customized marketing campaigns built for you in just a few clicks. Ready, set, go to constantcontact.com/allcity and start your free trial today. Go to constantcontact.com/allcity for your free trial. First time I ever read that ad, and I just slayed it.
You did. You slayed it.
I mean, except for the e-commerce part, which...
Yeah. Did I not say that right?
Commerce.
Is it commerce?
Yeah. That's right.
E-commerce. Okay. All right.
A minus.
Other than that.
A minus.
A minus.
You gotta
for first time reading that, and honestly not seeing it until right before, like while
very nice.
Luke was reading
Listen,
the
I feel like what Constant Contact, that's not just good business. That's smart business.
Smart business.
That might be a new slogan they want to go with.
Well,
It's not just good business, it's smart business.
Trying to build a brand, go to Constant Contact. That's all I can say.
Barb wants to know if Ryan is okay. We don't see him anymore. Ryan has been in Mexico.
Cancun specifically.
Yeah, he's on one of these benders. Right. He
no.
Right? He wakes up and he's like, the Bears are 4-2, and there he goes. He was actually here on Monday. And I was like, why is he in?
Did you see him in the airport? I know you returned from Mexico.
Ryan had flip-flops on, okay?
Oh.
And I was like, why the Hawaiian shirt so late in season, right? This seems odd that he'd have a Hawaiian shirt underneath the hoodie we were all wearing hoodies, but you could see the collar of a Hawaiian shirt underneath there. And maybe just, Cody pointed this out, just the sign of a few petals, potentially for like a lei, like you just got off the plane or you were thinking about going somewhere. And then we did see the straw from the grass skirt.
Oh, wow.
And that was coming out of his pockets.
Yeah. As Luke was coming back from
know.
Mexico on Monday, Ryan actually, he came in and decided to do the show on Tuesday, but then was like, I'm skipping out of here.
Right.
And he's been in Cancun since.
I believe the word he said was adios.
Adios. He did say that.
Cody, why don't you go to Mexico? I feel like there's a lot of vacations.
I'm going on I'm going to Mexico on the very beginning of November.
Nice.
For 2 weeks. I can't wait.
I better put this in the calendar.
Whoa. Hope they have
early November. I think he did tell me this.
I did tell you this, actually. Yes.
You're going to have to look this up.
I hope they have enough mezcal in Mexico for Cody Delmendo.
During the election, he will be in Mexico.
I cannot wait.
Cody Del Mezcal.
Depending on if things go bad, depending on which side you're on. Yeah. Cody's going to be in Mexico when it all goes down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? When it all goes down, Cody's going to be on a beach somewhere having a nice ice-cold blue moon. Yeah. All right, the grades time.
Would you say that this one is the easiest one?
I think this is the easiest grade we have to give out. I do. Because of what expectations were, because of what Jed likes to call exceeding projections, right? Because of the contract, which looks very, very club-friendly at the moment. Even when they signed it, it was a club-friendly deal. But if he had been terrible, I guess you could have started to doubt it. But even before he pitched, it was a club-friendly deal because of the player he became, the fan favorite he became, and because of what he did. Shota Imanaga is our first grade for this afternoon, and I don't think I can give him anything but an A, right? Like I don't really hand out too many for a team that failed to make the playoffs. I just don't find how you could put any blame on Shota Imanaga. He finished with the 5th best ERA in all of Major League Baseball. Okay? This was one of the quietest signings of the offseason. If Jed Hoyer wants to have feather in his cap, and I know some people say the argument will come from the live YouTube chat, the Hoyer haters, and I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying the argument is always Shota came to the Cubs, not the other way around. Whatever. Deal got done. Very team-friendly deal. And while we were banging on the door for Yamamoto and other pitchers to sign, he went out and got Shota, and he, to me, was the best pitching free agent of the offseason, a 2.91 ERA. And he was a vibe the day he got here. Yeah. Hey, Chicago, what do you say?
And he embraced Chicago, too, because I still...
The Bears side of it, all of it, right?
Yeah, like that day he showed up to Wrigley in the Walter Payton jersey.
Yes.
That's what you love to see from guys that you sign in free agents, like see them actually not only be good, but like embrace the city, right?
Is there anybody that's not going to give him an A?
I don't think there's any.
Will the most negative Cubs fan out there
did Godfather give him an A?
Godfather A.
Okay. If Godfather's giving him an A, then I don't think there's anyone.
Then I should have gone A+. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
I get it. Yeah, so I too am giving him an A. Like everyone was wondering, yeah, I just think, I think.
Oh, you went A+.
Oh, did I go A+? Okay, whatever. A+.
Yeah.
Don't let the facts get in the way of the grade you gave me.
He got a 101.
I think maybe the reason I put an A+ instead of an A whenever we first put them into Slack channel for Law was that he completely outperformed his projection. I remember going into the year, like there were some projections that had him having an earned run average over 5, and like you just said, he had like the 5th lowest ERA in all of baseball this year. He completely overdid my expectations. Like going into the year, we all thought that he'd be like a solid middle of the rotation arm, and he turned out to basically be their best pitcher. I mean, him and Steele are 1-1, but he was healthy the entire season.
Yeah,
that's why Steele didn't get an A either. So, he was healthy. He made the All-Star team. He was fun. He did everything that you asked him to do, and more. So that's even more why he gets an A. Not only did he meet expectations, he was even better than that. Like I just don't think there's any reason you can't give him an A. He was awesome, and I'm intrigued to see what happens in year 2. And I think the biggest thing for Shota too is that we all said at the beginning of the year that, like, especially when he started off hot, right? That month of April, he was awesome. We were all waiting for like some sort of adjustment period from the league. And I guess there were a few bad appearances. Like out of all the bad appearances he had, the 2 worst ones he had were against the White Sox.
Right.
Which don't make any sense to me. But like every pitcher has bad starts every now and then.
He might have thought he was pitching in Nashville or something.
Sure. The point is that he never went through that like adjustment period. I felt like where he just wasn't very good. Like I still felt very confident in him every 5th day going out there and giving the Cubs a chance to win. Even like the day, like the start after a bad start, I still felt confident that he would go out there and give them a chance to win. So the fact that there really was never a massive adjustment period, like maybe is around like that end of May, June area where there were a few questionable starts, or maybe it didn't go as deep as he had in previous starts. But I just feel like he never had a time in the season where he hit a wall. And again, like I said, he hit expectations and outperformed over them as well. So, he was awesome, man. And we need more players like him to do that, whether they're position players or not. Now, I will say this. When we put this graphic out on social media, so many people will yell at me because I gave Jed Hoyer an F, and now I'm giving Shota Imanaga an A. So
it's one move.
All of the people who won't listen to the show, the people who won't listen to the show, and just jump to the reaction of that, and tell me why giving Jed Hoyer an F was not smart. The point is like you said just now, one move, but also you signed Shota Imanaga, who turned out to be extremely better than what you intended, and you still didn't make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. That's why Jed Hoyer got an F for me.
Exceeding projections. Shota was exceeding projections.
Right. So, no, the people on social media that aren't going to listen to the show and yell at me, whatever, it's fine. But that's why, and I've said this a handful of times, is like Jed Hoyer didn't do enough to put the team into a higher projection win total. And Shota was awesome. And when you get an awesome season like that from Shota, it should have been that tipping point that helped them make the playoffs, and it just wasn't. So, like we've said about a lot of players, individual performance doesn't necessarily say what Jed Hoyer did right or wrong. It was a great signing. I'll give Jed credit for that. That said, though, you still didn't do enough to make the team better.
I'm going to ask you, after we take a quick break to hear about some of our sponsors, I'm going to ask you this question, and think about it in the live YouTube chat. What do you expect from Shota in 2025? Cody, tell us about something sunny today, other than the weather.
Our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary are here to elevate your autumn, Luke. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. Stop in the store nearest you for expert guidance for their staff or select from quality lines like Cresco or Florcal. Available now, Luke. They have it's the good news, new Island Vibes. All right.
Limited time offer.
Yeah. And it's available in disposable vapes, 510 carts, and live resin gummies. All right. So I say this every time I do this ad. Corey Friedman loves the Mindy Siegel's award-winning chocolates at Sunnyside, and he's talked about them so much to me that I have given them a try, and I now love them. All right. You too can love them like me and Corey do if you visit Sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
Cody, some beers can say they're brewed for baseball, but only Blue Moon is brewed by baseball. Beer and baseball just go together, and no beer goes better than the one that was literally born in a ballpark. Blue Moon was created at Coors Field in beautiful Denver, Colorado. Blue Moon isn't just another beer. It's a whole different experience. It's, as I like to say, it's a vibe. It's Riz. It's got a little Riz to it, right? A little charisma. So why strike out with the same old beer when you can get something that is one of a kind? A beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all year long. I've been saying, listen, we've enjoyed it all baseball season. You sit in the bleachers, you have a blue moon. You go to Murphy's before the game, you have a blue moon with us for the Friday 120 Club. I've been saying I'm looking forward to Halloween, trick-or-treating. The kids go door to door getting candy. Come to my neighborhood. I'm hoping the neighbors are all handing out a blue moon to the adults that are walking around those sidewalks, because that would be a holiday vibe, right?
Absolutely.
Bring the ballpark to you with Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale. It's one of a kind every time. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO to see your delivery options. That's get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Another one right now in the fall is sit around the fire pit, watch your playoff baseball with a blue moon in your hand. Again, it's an experience. It's a vibe.
In your Patagonia vest.
Oh, I don't own any of those.
I don't either.
More of a North Face guy.
You look. Actually,
I could be.
You look like a Patagonia guy.
It's a little expensive.
I'm a Roback guy these days.
Oh, I would be a Roback guy, but
they're not sponsored.
Pankow hasn't hooked me up yet. So.
Patagonia isn't. But yeah, you're right.
As soon as Pankow hooks me up, I've been looking. I see Steven has swapped out, by the way, for those of you wondering.
There he is.
I'm rocking the Roback too.
He's
right
rocking
now.
Yeah, you guys are. These are sharp-looking hoodies. I'm not going to lie. I like the blue. I like the green.
It?
Is it soft?
It is.
Oh
soft.
wow, that's like butter. That's like butter.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm even more angry.
We just did a free third ad break. That was good.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Before we follow up on my Shota thing, I want to ask Steven this real quick. We talked at the very top of the show. Jerry Reinsdorf, the rumors, it could just be a play that he's trying to get more money for the Project 78, whatever. If there comes a time in your White Sox fandom or one of your buddies or some family member that the Sox are, again, losing 120 games or they do move to Nashville, would you ever consider flipping sides and just joining the Cubs as opposed to rooting for the Brewers or Nashville or the Cardinals or just walking away from being a baseball fan?
It's a very fair question. I would, if it became the Nashville White Sox, I would still root for the White Sox. I think after a certain amount of time, though, I'm not the type that roots against the Cubs. I'm not one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But there would be a point where I'd start rooting for the Cubs more. They'd probably get adopted as a second team, but my first team would still be the White Sox.
What if they went to Nashville and they became the Nashville
You could change the name. It won't.
Tunes.
It won't change.
As long as it's.
I know
It's
where
like
that came
Tennessee and Houston Oilers.
From. Yeah,
deal.
exactly.
Gotcha. Okay. Just curious. Law started a poll for us. Our question was, would you accept a Sox fan that wanted to jump ship? And I said, I think everybody should be able to jump once in their adult life.
And I said that none of them
sometimes off a bridge. No, I didn't mean that. All right. So before the break, quickly, I asked Shota, what do you expect from him in 2025? And somebody in the chat, I think it was Charlie, said he's probably not going to be as good. That's not something good to think about.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Charlie. And I hope I'm wrong. All right, I'm not rooting.
I'd like to give another A.
Right. I'd love to give another A. The only reason that I feel like he won't have as good a season as he did this year is it's kind of like when we were talking about at the beginning of the show about the weather. Like, what if the wind blows out a lot more in 2025, Luke? And he's a guy
home runs.
And he's a guy who gives up homers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what he did well was when he did give up homers, there weren't a lot of people on base. He gave up a lot of solo shots.
You're right about that.
And some of the games that he gave up solo shots and they lost, it was because the offense didn't know how to score more than 1 or 2 runs. And I'm not trying to use this as a point that they need to fix the offense or shake up the offense or whatever, but I just don't think you can go into 25 and expect Shota to be the exact same. I'm not saying that I don't think it can happen. I'm not saying that I'm not rooting for it. Like, what kind of idiot would do that? I'm just saying that as a front office perspective, you cannot expect that to happen again. And also, he's 30. You know, it's not like he's 25.
Right.
You know, so listen, that's why I've kind of talked about how they need to get a top of the line starting pitcher this offseason. Obviously, would love Juan Soto, but
Corbin
Burns or Max Fried or trade for a guy that might become available that can be that guy. Yeah, like Garrett Crochet, for example. Sure.
Sell before you move.
Another starting pitcher that can be that top of the rotation horse that goes well with Shota and Justin Steele. I think that you would have a really good rotation. You'd have more depth as well. But if Shota messes around and does the exact same thing in 2025, and they also add another starting pitcher, then that's even better, you know?
Yeah, we've talked about it before. I still think Justin Steele is the current ace of this staff because the sample size is much bigger than what Shota has done. Now, Shota's season was better than Steele's because the availability, and B, look at the ERA, like I said, 5th best in all of Major League Baseball. By the way, his ERA was better than Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
So it's not... I would agree that if you get Corbin Burns, now the sample size is even bigger than Steele, and now Corbin Burns is probably your 1A ace, and Steele is your 1B, and Shota's whatever. It would be an incredible rotation. I don't know if he can repeat it next year. I hope he can repeat it next year. I do have this advice for Jed Hoyer and the Cubs. 1, go ahead and spend money like you're the Chicago Cubs, a big market team with a famous ballpark in a city built for baseball. That's the first one. So what does that mean? Burns, Soto, whatever your flavor of the day is, go get it. Spend it like you can. 2 would be, instead of looking for all your players to exceed their projections, why not take this mindset? Go into the season assuming all of your players are going to be lower than last year's results. Forget the projections. You can or factor the 2 together, but why not be a pessimist and then be happy when you see the results? Why not go into it next year and say, you know what? Like we're sitting here, there's a chance, as much as I love Shota, and he was spectacular, and he was my A-plus signing of the offseason. He's the best thing I did last year. There is a chance he regresses a little bit next year, and he's not the 5th best ERA in baseball. And we need to win 90 games, not 83. So we need to make the rotation better because there could be regression there. There could be Michael Busch regression. Whoever it might be. Why are you looking for everybody to do something special? That's what happens when your team's great, but don't expect it. Don't hope for it. Just be happy when it happens. I'd rather see him be negative and say, my team's my team's going to regress at this spot and this spot just a little bit. And that way, when you go out there and you're done with your offseason, you're going to look at it and say, I made the team this much better because I'm worried that there could be some regression from something.
Sure.
Glass half full, whatever. That's my approach. All right, let's grade the catchers because I think Shota, like you said, Shota was the easiest one that we could grade all season. Even Collada gave him an A. Catcher position. All right, so
are we going to piss off people with this one? Like
no, I'm not. I'm not going to
yesterday?
be a fraud. I'm going to be real. I was okay with the catcher position going into the season. I admit it.
Yeah.
Yan Gomes was coming off a good year, a surprisingly exceeding projection season, and I thought Miguel Amaya was ready to take that next step, and he was going to be the guy. And he was projected to be a 95 WRC plus. He was expected to be a 1.4 FWAR. The first half of the season was a disaster at catcher.
Yeah.
While closer was a disaster, catcher was just as bad, if not worse. Now, to Amaya's credit, he flipped the switch completely, right? Mm-hmm. He was a 554 OPS before the All-Star break. He was a 761 OPS after the All-Star break. I can't forget the first half. I can't forget the second half. Miguel Amaya's second half of the season is the only reason the catchers are not getting a solid F from me. It's a D- because Amaya gave me hope at the end of the season. Now, I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket, just like I'm not going to with any other position. But it was so bad early on that it was such a black hole in the offense and, frankly, defensively as well, that it was sucking the life out of this team, just like the bullpen was. Again, much better. Kyle Hendricks raved about the way that Amaya was calling games at the end of the season. So Amaya pulls them from an F to a D-, and maybe I could have gone as high as D, but because catcher was so bad early in the season, I went D-.
Yeah. I believe I went with a D+.
Oh.
And I don't really know what the difference is. I think it's more about the fact that I'm a little bit more optimistic about Amaya going into 2025.
That's fair.
And you can go back. I would go back further than just the All-Star break. I would say on July 1st is when his season started to turn. And I think you got to give a lot of credit to Amaya and the coaching staff. And I think Nelson Cruz, who helped him with the changing of his batting stance. I think that was the story. So, that was the whole thing with his offense. It was so bad, and they changed his batting stance, and then he started being more productive, and he started looking more like he did in certain points of 2023.
Yeah.
So, that said, like you said, it's like we said with Dansby yesterday. You can't be horrific, like that horrific for half the season, and then it's not even like he put up insanely great numbers in the second half. He was better.
Right.
I think he saved his job. I think the Cubs are going to tender him a contract for next year, right? I don't know if that would have happened if things would have kept continuing the way that they were, So, I gave him a D+ because Yan Gomes was basically a non-factor. Which is like, should I blame the Cubs front office because they believed in a older catcher who was better in 23 than we all thought? And did they think that was going to happen again? I remember, like you said, I too was fine with them going with Amaya and Gomes. But I didn't expect the offense to be there. I was hoping the defense would be there. The defense wasn't there either. So, from a just defensive side of the baseball, more importantly, they weren't getting what they needed for 3 months. And then Amaya turned his offensive season around, and you're getting a little bit more production there. I thought Christian Bethancourt, when they brought him in, not only did he go on that Linsanity run.
Right. Where were you for the Christian Bethancourt game?
Where he looked like Barry Bonds for 2 weeks. But, he was a lot better defensively too. He threw some runners out. I don't know if he's going to be on the team next year. the big question for me with catcher is what they do this offseason. Are they going to go back to the Angels and try to trade for Logan O'Hoppe, or do they believe that Moises Ballesteros can be a guy that can, be in that catching role with Amaya? They like to have a veteran back there anyway, because they help groom younger catchers, and Ballesteros is 20 years old. Amaya is not like he's a seasoned veteran. He's still a young major leaguer trying to make it. I don't know which direction they're going to go with that. So that's something that we will have to closely watch this offseason and see how they attack the catching market, whether via trade or, there's not a lot of catchers on the free agent market that I like Danny Jansen, Carson Kelly, maybe, whatever. But I just think from a defensive standpoint, it was a massive disappointment for the Cubs this year, because they basically, without actually saying it, they let Wilson Contreras go because not only does he just destroy a bunch of iPads, but also he wasn't giving them the defense that they needed, like the framing and calling of the games. That was basically what was put out there to everyone, to why they didn't bring him back. And it worked for 1 year. I think we all sat here and gave the Cubs a lot of credit for letting him go. And, the defense at the catching position and the ERAs for a lot of Cubs pitchers, the Cubs pitching staff took massive steps forward with Wilson Contreras gone, right, in 23. And their pitching staff as a whole probably was pretty good, or was just as good this year, I would say, for most of them, right? Not all of them, but most of them. But I think as far as throwing runners out for most of the season, wasn't very good.
There was a time where I didn't think they were going to throw a runner out.
Right. Especially those first 3 months of the year.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a bad run.
They couldn't hold runners on at all. That was bad. And I know that it's not just the catcher's fault with that. The pitcher has a lot to do with that too. But either way, it was not something they were good at. Amaya's pop time on Baseball Savant, 4 percentile. His framing was 16 percentile. Caught stealing above average percentile, 16. He was a 98 percentile blocks above average, though. So,
but it really doesn't fit their narrative of, we're going all in on defense at catcher.
Right.
And the offense is a bonus. It's the one position. Now, this team needed offense, so it became a problem at both places. Yeah. You mentioned the Logan O'Hoppe thing, that they were looking at the trade deadline. I try to compare the two here. O'Hoppe is 24. Amaya is 25. Mm-hmm. Next year, they'll be a year older. O'Hoppe, 244 batting average by the end of the season. Amaya, 232. O'Hoppe, 20 home runs. Amaya, 8. And O'Hoppe was a 2.1 F4 player, and Amaya ended at 0.7 F4. WRC plus was 101 for O'Hoppe and 83 for Amaya. I guess it's not a massive difference, but I think what you're saying is the bigger question. If you go out and get O'Hoppe, are you saying it's a competition at catcher? Are you saying O'Hoppe is my catcher and Amaya, we gave you a shot. It only worked for the end of the season, so we're going to make you our backup. We still believe that we have 2 good young catchers, and maybe Ballesteros isn't defensively the catcher we're looking for. First of all, he's too young to give that opportunity. Not at the major league level, but to say, here's our pitching staff, you're 21, go ahead and take care of it. That won't happen this offseason.
And that doesn't mean that I don't think Ballesteros will be on the team next year.
No, I agreed.
I think his bat certainly plays
could be good enough to get to the major league level.
As far as all those things that are unmeasurable at the catching position that we talk about a lot, can he insert himself with that Cubs pitching staff at such a young age? That's a big ask, man. So that's why it's kind of like you need to, I feel like they still need a veteran in there, but I don't know how they're going to be able to do it.
All right, quick question, and I'll ask that after the break. But first, I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Game Time. I said Game Time. Who has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. Listen, I was just going through it and saying, what would I like to go see this fall? Saturday, you've got Wisconsin at Northwestern. The weather looks spectacular. And if you can get a seat at that new little stadium they have down by the lake, That might be a vibe this weekend.
It's still not going to be better than Michigan and Illinois, though, in Champaign.
No, but that I would like to go see a game at that Northwestern Stadium, and that might be a good one to go see, Wisconsin Northwestern. Now, November 30th, Illinois at Northwestern.
Well, that's at Wrigley Field.
That barks up your tree. Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So go to Wrigley Field and see what kind of seats you can get there with Game Time Picks. I saw that Usher is coming to the United Center at the end of the month. He was just the Super Bowl halftime show. Yeah.
That was a good
That's
show.
the guy, right?
That's the guy.
The rollerblades, wasn't he roller skating through the people?
Yes.
Usher's got some good hits.
He does.
Anyways, curated deals to make it easier to find the best price on great seats. I love that you can view your seats before you buy, especially for a game like that, football game at Wrigley Field. Let's make sure you don't have a pole in front of the middle of the field. You don't want to have a beam sticking out in the middle of the field. You want to have a good seat where you can see the game. All in pricing, you can toggle the feature that shows total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. They have a low price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They have ticket coverage for you, most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem with the code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Ooh.
All right, so we're still grading the catchers. Everybody gave A's or A pluses to Shota Imanaga.
I'll say this about catcher. If I don't think that this will happen, but if we, as we sit here right now on October 17th, if it's Miguel Amaya and Miguel Amaya and like Christian Bethancourt or a veteran catcher,
if that's their catching,
if that's
answer.
what they do, I think there's like I guess I'm fine with it, and I guess that it means that they're looking at Ballesteros as the future. But I also feel like it's just another one of those conservative moves where they hope that things work out. I just don't think Amaya has done enough to prove that he deserves that spot. And so, like,
it's just what I was talking about. Approach the offseason is as if you know some guys are going to regress from last season. Now, that doesn't mean you have to say that specifically about Amaya, right? Amaya and Bethancourt, I'm okay with that at catcher if you go and add a Corbin Burns or a Juan Soto and you make some big splash and decide, we're going to put our finances into a superstar player and we're willing to be suspect at catcher and one other position. You can't go into it and say, I'm willing to be suspect at first, at third, at catcher, at bullpen. You can't have all of those things that you're suspect about.
Right. That's a good point too. Like it depends on what they do with the rest of the roster. If they were to roll with Amaya as your starting catcher, again, I'm still a believer that Amaya can be a productive major league player. He was better from July 1st to the end of the year.
He was a top 100 prospect and a two-time
and it was
Futures All-Star before a slew of injuries.
And it was technically his first major league season. I know he got called up in like May in 23, but it was his first major league season where he knew that he was going to be on the major league squad going into the year. And the beginning of it was bad, right? So like we said about Dansby, he's got to find a way to be more consistent. I think there's still a lot to like there. He's got to improve defensively, I think. But, yeah, if you fix other holes, I'm willing to roll the dice with with him as your starting catcher in 25 if you fix more holes and don't have as many experiments. That's if you want me to spin zone it, as we say sometimes, on that position. But
if you fix a lot of other things, if you fill leaky holes at other positions, then I can live with gambling on Miguel Amaya and whatever combo you have at catcher. But if you're going to leave some of those just completely alone, then this is certainly a position where you could have some improvement, even if it means not shoving Amaya aside, but potentially maybe stunting his growth a little bit if you bring in Logan O'Hoppe and you make the trade, and Amaya isn't part of that trade, he's not going to get enough playing time to probably become the player you want him to be.
Yeah.
Well, but that would be okay if you've upgraded the position.
The thing about catchers too is like, yeah, you need like an everyday catcher. I think you got to your starting catcher has to be able to play at least 4 out of 7 days a week, and you have to preserve them along the way, right? Because it's such a grueling position, right?
Taxing. I would say
taxing.
It's
taxing. There you
Taxing.
Go. Such a taxing position.
I like that.
I would say that they have to be able to start at least 4 days a week. The way Craig Counsell did it, it felt like all season is, especially once Amaya figured it out, like Amaya would start 2 out of the 3 games every series. He would always be off 1 of the 3 games of a 3-game series. You know,
or if a pitcher likes a personal catcher.
Sure.
Right? Like you might have somebody that wants Amaya. Hendricks really liked Amaya at the end of the season. Like maybe, I'm not saying Kyle Hendricks, but if a pitcher, Justin Steele, says, I want Amaya, okay, that's 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Now you got to fill the others.
Right. So, like, to me, it's not even really about how many games they can play. It's you need a combo, you know, that goes well together, I think, based off what we know about the catchers that are currently here. Like, none of them offensively are like Wilson Contreras. Wilson Contreras was so good offensively that you had to play him every day.
Right.
You needed that bat in the lineup every day. When he was here, if the DH was possible for, like, I think the DH was possible for 1 year that he was here, and he DH'd a lot in 22, right? But I think that unless they massively upgrade offensively from the catching position, I think that you just have to have a good combo. That way you can get through a season with solid production from that position alone.
One more quick question. We got a minute here. Do you think that if you were to not sign or trade for, Logan O'Hoppe, who again is just a year older than Amaya, or younger than Amaya, do you think that Amaya could get to those offensive numbers? He had 20 home runs this year. Do you think it's possible that Miguel Amaya could be a 20 home run catcher next year or the year after that? Is there that big of a gap offensively between the two? Niren's saying he's not quite as great as everybody thinks just yet.
Yeah.
It's an upgrade. I think it's definitely an upgrade.
Yeah. He was an 83 WRC plus. I honestly would just like to see him be a league average hitter first.
He was projected. O'Hoppe was projected to be a 108 WRC plus and finished at 101. Amaya was projected at 95 and finished at 83, like the Cubs.
So O'Hoppe was like basically a league average hitter. There's still a lot that he can improve on. He's young, just like Amaya. I think he's proven a little bit more for sure, and that's why the Cubs were interested in him, right?
Right.
So can Amaya get to that level? Be a league average hitter? Yes, I think he can be a league average hitter. He's played well enough from July through all the way through September to show that he can do it. Now he's got to do it for a full season and perhaps even be a little bit better than that. But I think he at the very least can be a league average hitter.
All right, we will continue. We've got a few more report cards to hand out again next week. Ryan, I believe, is supposed to be back from his
Mexican vacation,
touring the Yucatan.
Beautiful this time of year.
Beautiful, except for hurricane damage they had up there at the top, unfortunately. So
I will be with Brendan Miller tonight.
Well, tomorrow. I'm sorry, 11:30 tomorrow. Cody and Brendan.
Yeah, I think it's pre-recorded.
Get
though.
your
It's not
facts
live.
straight.
Yeah.
And again, there's nothing going on between Cody and Corey's girlfriend.
God
Okay?
damn it, Luke.
There's nothing going on.
did
They've
I
been
even-
friends for a long time, and they each paid for their own coffee. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Until next time, really, it's nothing.
I hate you, man.
Fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.